Texas A&M shows that paying for players doesn't work. But I think schools are still going to try that method until it hits them in the face too many times, if that makes sense. So it happened with Texas A&M, but everyone's going to believe, well, that's Texas A&M. They don't know how to manage it. So Miami, in my opinion, look, this is not a knock on Miami by any stretch of the imagination. They're playing the game as best they possibly can right now, and it's working for them. Straight up. Like you have to look, I talk shit. I talk a lot of shit, and I will poke the bear all day long, but I also can admit when it's like, yeah, look, this is working for these guys. This is going in the right direction for them. They are buying their players successfully. Okay? And I don't know if Billy is drawing a line in the sand of like, look, yeah, I'm not going to bid for these kids. And look, we'll know in a year or so if that was the right move. Right now, we don't know. So it sucks because we're losing the off-field battle. And we're sitting around, we're like, why are we losing these? There's two parts. I think we are getting outbidded, and it is what it is. And the second thing is Billy probably isn't buying into that. I'm not going to sit here and spend all this money on a kid that hasn't proven anything, because I also know I've got 50 other guys in the locker room that if this kid comes in and is getting paid more than them that hasn't even played a snap, it's not going to do well. It's not going to bode well for the team chemistry, and that's something that he's trying to build as a culture. So that's where we have to look. That's the line, right? Sure, it might look flashy. You might finish with the top recruiting class of all time, like Texas A&M, but the following year you're gonna finish 4-8. You're gonna have kids in the locker room smoking Mary Jane, and you're gonna have half the class leave because it's like, yeah, this was just all a bunch of hoopla, right? That's the ultra negative. Okay, so that's where I think where we're at right now. I think if we have another year of that and we see that, now look, if Miami goes and it works out and they're very successful next year, then maybe we adjust a little bit. But right now, I think there's just it's the wild, wild west. So there is no right decision. One decision is going to ultimately be the best decision. Right now, Miami looks like and feels like it is the best decision for them. Okay, it looks like they're winning because look, they've got a top 4 class right now. Texas just landed another big one, so they moved to the top 3, which Texas is doing a phenomenal job with their recruiting class as well. I mean, shout out to those guys. My goodness, they have 3 of the number 1. They have a quarterback, linebacker, and I think running back. I believe they have the number 1 quarterback, the number 1 linebacker, and the number 1 running back. Yeah. And Cedric Baxter, Anthony Hill, and Arch Manning. And then the number 6 wide receiver. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 4, 5 stars. That's massive. That is absolutely massive. We got 200 people in the chat. Make sure you guys like. Look, I think that's going to be what happens. We've got to see it play out, to be honest with you. And look, I think there is something to be said for that, right? If Billy is holding off on that, I'm not going to bid for these guys and overpay these guys. Look, there's 2 parts to that. One, are those kids really, hungry? Are they just trying to collect a quick check, and are they going to be really dialed in? I don't know. We don't really know yet. It's a whole new world that we're walking into, boys and girls. And the coaches got to figure it out. The players got to figure it out. And look, there is no right way of doing it, to be honest with you. I don't think there is. You guys might have a way of thinking about it, or a process of how this should work. But Texas A&M went about it one way last year. I don't feel like it worked out. Miami's essentially following that same formula. Does it work out? Again, we won't know until next year. If Miami falls on their face again, I think it'll slow it down. But if Miami has success, I could see it turning up, and then that's where I've been preaching for is there's going to have to be a salary cap in a sense, I think, to make it more realistic. But I think it's still always going to be overlooked. I don't know. It's crazy right now, and I think you're managing a bankroll, right? I mean, if you've got a bank and you're trying to figure out what's the best opportunity and best solution is, that's kind of where we're at.